Hey guys, it's Jake here. Thanks for joining me in Jake's Opinion Round 12 footy tips. These are the games this week. West Coast v Carlton, Adelaide v St Kilda, GWS v Richmond, Gold Coast v Kangaroos, Hawthorn v Brisbane, Western Bulldogs v Port with the last game of the round. Not a great round, I don't think. Only the first two games really stand out for me, and maybe the Hawthorn v Brisbane, but that's about it. But we'll get into the first game. I'm going to tip West Coast over Carlton. West Coast are at $1.25, which is pretty good, seeing as they're playing at Subiaco and they haven't lost there at all this year, I don't think. And Carlton are at $4, and 6-day break for Carlton's going to make it tough for them, especially when it's the longest trip in footy coming from Melbourne, and especially when West Coast have had the break. So I think West Coast will have more energy and just more run throughout the game. The next game I'm going to be tipping, unfortunately it hurts me to say, Adelaide. I'm not very confident tipping Adelaide. I'm just going to stick with the trend for this one, as I've got a risk coming on later on. So I think Adelaide might win. Again, same with the West Coast and Carlton one. St Kilda coming off 6-day break, Adelaide having the break. So I don't know how the AFL have done the draw like that, but that's very unfair. And at home, I'm thinking Adelaide might just do it, but I wouldn't be surprised if St Kilda won. They've been in very good form this year. 6-5 doesn't really tell the tale. But all 5 of their losses, they've been in the game at three-quarter time. We could have won all of them, so they're in pretty good nick, and one of the highest scoring teams in the AFL, which is a good sign for St Kilda fans out there. For the next game, I'm going to be tipping Richmond, obviously. GWS, they've been up and down. They haven't been too bad for their first year. They've been better than Gold Coast, so I'll give them that. Gold Coast have been shocking this year. GWS have just gone way past them. I think a lot of it has to do with Coach Kevin Sheedy. He just knows how to work the players. He knows how to make them ruthless. Gold Coast, they're kind of just wrapping them in cotton wool and just taking care of them a bit too much. Instead of just throwing them out on the field and just say, hey, just go and do your thing and try and win the game for us. So Richmond, still for me though, they're just a much better team. Next game, Gold Coast v Kangaroos. Gold Coast were shocking last week against St Kilda. 95-point loss. I think that's their biggest loss for the year, I'm not sure. They'd lost by 92 points to St Kilda in round 2 this year as well, so 2 big losses to the Saints. And not only is that a problem itself, but the way that their losses have happened, they just haven't shown any guts in any of their performances. I mean, they nearly beat Freo by 7 points in round 3 or 4 last year and this year, and they were good signs. They were challenging in 2 or 3 games in a row, and we thought, hey, they're going to break through here and actually do it. And that big game against GWS where they were expected to win, they didn't win. So I'm not sure if that was a turning point, but it seems like the turning point in their season so far. So hopefully they can put up a decent effort. And Kangaroos haven't been in great form, and they're at home, so there is some chance that they might be able to challenge. But I'm tipping Kangaroos. Just they need to respond after that massive loss to who was it? Hawthorn, and when Franklin kicked 13 goals. So they've got to do something, Kangaroos. They keep talking, but they've got to start actually showing it on the footy field. Now for my next game, Hawthorn v Brisbane. I'm going to tip Hawthorn here. They've just been in pretty good form lately. They won easily against Port and easily beat Kangaroos, so I don't see any reason why they wouldn't continue to do the job at home this week against Brisbane, who did have a great win against West Coast the other week, so they'll put up a challenge, but I think Hawthorn with Franklin and Cyril and Mitchell all getting into form should probably take control of that one. And for my next game, Bulldogs v Port, interesting game. My risk for the round is going to be Port. I'm going to pick them. I think they can do it. They had a bit of a hiccup last week, but prior to that, they were smashing Carlton at home, and they had a few other good wins. So I don't see any reason why they couldn't do it again. Schuntz is in great goal-kicking form. He's held it up front there. He's nearly leading the goal-kicking. I think he's kicked 24 goals or something for the year, so he's been in good form. And the Bulldogs, well, you don't really know what to say about the Bulldogs, but I think Port will do it. Everyone's tipping the Bulldogs. We guarantee that Port will win, and if they don't, well, then there's going to be a bit of trouble. But I'm pretty sure they will. Anyway, that's it for the week. I'm going to leave you with a clip of the week. It's a pretty funny one, so I hope you enjoy it. Back in 1999, an umpire took a mark, so just have a look at this. People blame umpires that they have too much influence over games. Well, look at this guy. He's actually taking marks and kicking goals. And that's it for the week, so have a great week and hope your team wins.